Everybody's religious. The word religious or religion comes from the Latin religare. The word religare in Latin literally means to be bound to something. That's what religious is. You're bound to something. Something has your heart. Everybody is bound to something. That's what Paul's saying to the Athenians. Look at what he says. Men of Athens, I perceive that in every way you are very religious. Think about this. Paul uses the religious term for people who don't believe in Jesus, don't go to church, and don't read their Bible. Well, that's strange. Because in our culture, right, that's what makes you religious. Oh, you're religious. You go to church. Oh, you're religious. Oh, I see. You believe in God. You believe in all that stuff. Okay, you're religious. Paul uses that exact term to refer to people who worship stars and statues and rocks, foreign deities that, that there's such an untold number of them out there. Paul says you're religious. What is he saying? He's saying everybody's religious. Everybody. If it is not the God of this Bible that you worship, Paul's saying, I guarantee you, you are bound to something else. We are a culture that is enamored with almost anything. If it be not God, it will be our clothes. It'll be our material stuff. It'll be our ideas. It'll be our academics. It'll be our jobs. It'll be our spouses. It'll be our children. Everybody's bound to something. There's a whole host of you New Englanders, every single fall. You people go bananas for a football team. Men wearing tights, which would be unacceptable in any other phase of human existence except the football field. If they lose the game, your family tries to talk to you after the game. Don't talk to me. Why? Because people that you don't know lost a game to other people that you don't know, and therefore the people that do know you and love you cannot talk to you? Do you know what that is? That's religion. That's being devout. You're letting something else direct your life. Everybody does it. Maybe not with football, and maybe not with this, but with something. If it be not the God of this Bible, it will be almost anything else. Now let me prove it. In May of 2015, a Pew Research survey came out about the religious life of Americans. And here was the headline of that study. America's changing religious landscape. Christians decline sharply as share of population. What they did was they did a survey of people. What do you believe? They found out that less people say they're Christian, and the fastest growing group of people in America religiously are what they call the none. N-O-N-E-S. No religious faith whatsoever. So the progressives and the secularists were like, yes, finally, we're breaking free from this Victorian age mysticism. Finally, we're progressing as a society. And they did some research deeply into the study. They found out how many holes were in that research. The fastest group of people who say they have no religious faith were not moving from belief to disbelief. They were just moving from affiliated to a church to no longer affiliated to a church. Some of you will understand this. 30 years ago, if you asked the average American, what's your religion? They would say things like Lutheran, Episcopalian, Catholic, Presbyterian, Pentecostal, Baptist, whatever. Today, if you ask those same people, and listen, when they answered that back 30 years ago, they didn't go to church. They didn't do anything resembling Christianity. They didn't really believe any of it. They just ascribed to it because their parents ascribed to it and they were raised in that, so they assumed by default that's who they were. Now they just have that question posed to them, and now they're just brave enough to say none. But listen, they didn't move from belief to disbelief. They still believe there's a higher power because 20% of the nuns that were reported in that survey, actually 80% of that 20% claimed that they prayed every day. They pray to who? I don't know, but they pray. My point is, religious faith is not going away. It might be going away from Orthodox Christianity, but it's not going away from the idea that there's a God, there's a higher power, there's a superpower. It's not going away. The Bible says this in Ecclesiastes 3:11, God has planted eternity in the human heart. That means that there's something inwardly inside of you that longs for something beyond you. Humans have a desire to worship someone or something. And if it be not Christianity, it'll be something else. Ross Douthat, he's a New York Times columnist. He wrote a book called Bad Religion. He writes that after World War II in the West, do you know how many new religions started in the West since the end of World War II? 400. You can believe anything. Taoism, Rastafarianism. There's even one called esoteric Nazism. One that was made popular by a book called Eat, Pray, Love. If you can't find one that fits you, make it up. The point that I'm making is that there's something inside of you that longs for that which is beyond you. Do you know what happened in Russia in the last century? Communism made religion illegal. And for 70 years, the Soviet government mandated atheistic, secularistic teaching in their public schools, higher education institutions, and throughout the entire country. For 70 years, Russians were taught from birth, there is no God. And then the Soviet Union collapsed. They did a survey of religious faith in Russia. Do you know what the percentage of atheists was after 70 years of indoctrination from the state level all the way down to the education level? 6%. After 70 years of indoctrination, only 6% could say they're atheists. And by the way, that was only 1% more than America. The point that I'm making is that religious belief will not die. It will not go away because you were made to worship something beyond yourself. It's a fact. You say, well, what about atheists? Atheists don't believe in anything. They don't worship. They don't get tied in. Oh, yes, they do. They worship science. More and more we're hearing it, we're seeing it. Science is not just an idea or a field of study. Science is a dogmatic, fundamental faith system. A guy by the name of Henry Crotto, Nobel Prize winning chemist, said this. Look at the absolutes of this statement. He's an atheist. Says science is the only philosophical construct we have to determine truth in any degree with any degree of reliability. Friends, that's not an idea. That's a dogmatic statement. Only science can help us. Only science can tell us what's true and what's not true. Here's what he's saying. Basically, he's saying science is the way, the truth, and the life. Richard Dawkins wrote a book called The God Delusion. He says this in the beginning of the book. He says, if this book works like I want it to, religious leaders who open it will be atheists when they put it down. That's a mission statement. That's not just ideas. That's I want to indoctrinate you. I want to annihilate your belief and align you with my belief. He's doing the exact same thing he's critical of the evangelical church doing, just in the name of science. He also said these words, anyone who believes God created the universe is ignorant, stupid, or insane. That's not tolerant. That's dogmatic. My point is, they worship something too. They worship their own minds, elevate their own selves above God. G.K. Chesterton said it so well. He said, when people stop believing in God, they don't believe in nothing. They believe in anything.